Ready? I be ready.
Tell me when you're ready.
Good evening and good evening. We want to welcome everybody to the second half of the show. This is the part of the show where the information drops. It drops. Because the doctor is definitely in the house making his... I thought it was his fifth appearance, but I was just challenged and I was told that this is his fourth appearance here on Acres of Diamond. So without further ado, we got to bring to the mic the doctor himself, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Peace and black power. Thanks for having me on the show, fellas.
Hey, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you once again for coming and being with us.
Yes, sir.
There is so much buffoonery and stuff going on. And I know you're going to highly educate us this evening and give us all of the lowdown and the rundown on everything that you're working on. Let's start. I want to know your thoughts on the Netflix movie entitled When They See Us.
I didn't watch it in its entirety yet, only because of time. I did see some glimpses of it. It appeared to be very well done. My reaction to it, like with most modern documentaries in the post-Obama era, I appreciate that it was done. It's very important that we pay sufficient attention to injustices, and I like the way these documentaries highlight those injustices. But if we're only going to do documentaries, just like marches, nothing will change, because the white power structure has once again grown arrogant, and it does not care if you protest it. It does not care if you march against it. It does not care if you produce a documentary about it. At the end of the day, what are we going to do? Sister Ava DuVernay, very talented sister. But on the political activism and agitation side, what are we doing besides making documentaries? It's no different than when we had the conversation, not us, but on another broadcast, we talked about the new Jim Crow and other books that do an excellent job discussing the problems and even pointing out some solutions, but where the authors of these books really haven't done anything on the streets or in the political chamber to affect change. So if all we're going to do is write about it, make a film about it, at the end of the day, it's going to be useless. But I thought it was a very well done documentary.
Now, some might say that you're very critical and you're very hard on some of the black community, grassroots people that are out there doing something. Because somebody said that to me. They said you always have him on your show, and he's very critical of black folks that are doing something.
I would respond by saying, I'm not critical of black individuals or folks. I'm critical of the systems that we have in place. So we have a system where celebrities will finance documentaries, but we don't have a system to systematically combat the causes of the problems that give rise to the documentaries. In other words, if all the police have to worry about is a documentary on Michael Brown, if all the police have to worry about is a documentary on Trayvon Martin, if all the police have to worry about is a documentary on the Central Park 5, if that is all the white power structure has to fear from black America is a documentary, then they won't fear us at all. I go back to the Scottsboro Boys because in many respects, the Central Park 5 is a rendition of the Scottsboro Boys case from the 1930s, 1940s. But the difference is with the Scottsboro case, the NAACP and all the other organizations got involved and they decided to fight back, not just against the injustice against the Scottsboro Boys, but to try to change systematically the law that allowed them to even be illegally incarcerated, convicted, and sentenced to jail in the first place. I really don't see that here. The biggest difference between the Scottsboro Boys case and the Central Park 5, in my estimation, is that whereas the Scottsboro case was used to try to bring about a systematic change in the justice system, the Central Park 5 simply paid off the victims and sent them home. And that doesn't suffice for me because you can't take back the time that they spent. What, 4 of them got 6 to 7 years. Another one spent 13 years in a maximum security prison. No amount of money you pay me is going to undo that pain. And I think one of the narratives that Black America had better be careful about, and that is the narrative that says you can pay me after you abuse me. You can pay me after you exploit me. And if you pay me, I don't mind if you kill me, mass incarcerate me, or subject me to criminal injustice. I will accept it as long as I'm being paid. I don't like this new way of doing business with the criminal justice system, which is basically give me some money so I can shut up and go away. That's not how we used to deal with things before. We fought to change the system, not look for a paycheck.
What should we do, man?
We got to fight again.
What should we do?
Frederick Douglass said it best: if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain, but not the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but they're scared of the awful roar of the waters.
Now, I want to point out something to you. Just before you came in, we mentioned that here in the city of Philadelphia, the weekend of Father's Day, there was 24 shootings. I believe there were 24 shootings here in the city of Philadelphia. 18 killings. 18. Philadelphia has suppressed Camden, Chicago, and the rate of homicides that have taken place here in this city that we call the city of brotherly love.
Preposterous, unacceptable.
Now, people as Black folks, we're very critical to say that, when we have the white officers that are killing Black folks, and this happens on the north, it happens all across this country. Why don't we see the uprise of when Pookie or Little Raheem or Jaja puts a gun and they kill another man? Because all these shootings that took place on Father's Day weekend, that bloody Sunday, that bloody weekend, I don't think that we had any police officers or white people that killed these Black people. This is black on black crime, but we don't hear a lot of our grassroots people talking about this. We don't hear our predominant Al Sharptons and those type of people. We don't hear them speaking about this.
I'm going to push back. And I'm going to push back by saying that although no white man may have pulled that trigger, those guns were purchased from white people. I would also argue that not only is Philadelphia one of the cities leading the nation on black and black homicide, but Philadelphia is also leading the nation in gentrification. Philadelphia is also leading the nation with some of the lowest outcomes for Black boys. Philadelphia is also one of the nation's leaders for the lowest employment rate for Black men. So let's contextualize that. Hurt people hurt people. Until you deal with the economic stress, the social stress, the systematic stress, the inequities, the disparities, the biases, you can't discuss black on black crime in a vacuum. You must put it in its proper context of disenfranchisement, hopelessness, and a psychology of self-defeat.
Are we suffering from slavery?
Without question. Without question. Although slavery ended 143 years ago, and of course we'll be celebrating 400, or should I say acknowledging 400 on August the 21st, the truth of the matter is the psychological residuals and aftershocks of slavery are still with us. And what do we know about mental illness? Untreated, it gets worse. Don't be surprised that Black people are worse now than they were 10 years ago. Don't be surprised that we were worse in Y2K than we were in 1980. Don't be surprised we are going to be worse 50 years from now, because any illness left untreated, crack addiction, low self-esteem, bipolar, borderline, schizophrenia, any mental illness left untreated will get worse over time.
I mean, so there's this big thing now, reparations. It's back. People are still, they haven't given up talking about it, but you see it being talked about more now. But what I've noticed, and I told somebody on the job this, I said, you know what? In my opinion, Biden will win if he does not talk about issues for Black people, if he stays away from the LGBT community, and if he doesn't talk about reparations. Because that group that we call that good old white boy group that will support him and may put him into office, if he tends to channel on the issues related to Black people, he will not have an opportunity to be the president of this country.
I think the Democrats were very clever in going out and forcing Joe Biden to come out of retirement and run for the presidency, because he's probably the most racist Democratic presidential candidate that we've seen in quite some time. So he has the ability to garner support on both the Republican side and the Democratic side of the aisle. He has the ability to garner support from that racist hillbilly as well as the working class white person. So I think him going against Trump is going to be a powerful challenge, because in many respects he is Trump, but he's just much more sophisticated and professional and articulate in the way he expresses his racism. With that being said, I think he could speak to reparations if he wanted to, because I don't think any white person who's talking about reparations is hell bent on seeing that black people get it. We have to understand something. America's built on white privilege. So even if you give black people reparations, you're going to have to give poor white people some sort of an economic stimulus package. I promise you, if black people get reparations, poor white people will also get reparations. You have to, because you have to guarantee that the white privilege that all white people benefit from does not get disturbed by the reparations package. It's just like when minimum wage goes up. What happens right after minimum wage goes up? Inflation. So although you're making $2 more, it costs $3 more. In other words, once they're done inflating white society as a result of black reparations, the reparations will almost be meaningless. But it's not so much that you get reparations. The devil is in the details. What exactly is the reparations package going to look like? Because I haven't heard anybody talk about the cost of the psychological damage of reparations. I haven't heard anybody talk about the reclamation of all the tens of thousands of acres of black land that was confiscated from 1865 until now. I don't hear anybody talking about all the Arab nations and states in North Africa as well as in the Arabian Peninsula who was involved in slavery before the white man. Okay, although a lot of our African-American Sunni Islamic brothers love defending the Arabs, okay, claiming that they didn't come in with swords. Oh, it's written. You can read the African scholars who lived through it. Oh, they did. Islam did not take North Africa by peace. I'm not saying that everyone in North Africa became a Muslim through bloodshed, but they came in through war. I'm actually named after the man who invaded Africa after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Umar. He was the first one to go into North Africa and take it. I'm named after him. And he was a black man taking a black country. But in doing so, he paved the way for the white Arab to come in and keep hold of that territory once he passed on. So we have to deal with the Arab piece. And then also on top of this, I don't hear anybody talking about what the European owes us for all of the aftershocks of slavery, the post-enslavement oppression of black people, 1865 to 2019. So are we just going to focus on 243 years of unpaid labor? Or are we also going to hold them accountable for the post 153 years of post-slavery oppression? I want it all. And are we asking for a check or are we asking for assets? Do we want dollars or do we want resources? Do we want more rights or do we want control over things? I don't want no money because the white man's money ain't worth anything. I want wealth.
Let's look at the fact that a lot of these movies that are being put out today, you have these low budget movies. A lot of these movies are going straight to Netflix, Hulu, mainly more Netflix. And I was listening to something today, and it was speaking about how you don't see the Denzel Washingtons, you don't see the I'm not going to say Oprah, but you don't see the Denzel Washingtons, the Will Smiths financing with the money that they have, and it would, if they can blink and write a check, and it would not hurt their account whatsoever to fund movies that will shed better light on the society here for us as black people. In your honest opinion, why don't we see the Denzel Washingtons, the Will Smiths, why don't we see them writing large checks to be able to help empower other young black filmmakers?
Well, Will Smith allegedly is working on a full-length feature film on Mansa Musa, the Islamic ruler from West Africa. I don't know what Denzel is up to. I don't want to count them out yet. I would still give them time. I'm sure they do coon and tap dance from time to time, but you're talking about two men who are at the upper echelon of the movie industry. So they got to be very careful with the way that they work. But I would say this, not only them. When you look at most of our black film producers, okay, most of them steer clear of works that highlight the role of racism and its impact on black people. And they do that for two reasons. Number one, they don't want to isolate their white customers. Okay, they want to make sure they get that white money, and white people don't want to see movies that remind them of what they've done to black people. Okay, it's no different than music. What did Berry Gordy say when Marvin Gaye came to him and said he wanted to do What's Going On? He said, Marvin, you're going to destroy your career and probably my company. But it just so happened it didn't take Marvin under. White folks want to see black people cooning, buffooning, and killing. They go to watch black folks act in the very same role that they have projected from the minstrel shows going back to the 1880s. Anything other than that, white folks do not want to see that. Okay, so that's one reason why you don't see those movies. And the other reason why you don't see that movie is once you become a rich black person, money is no longer an issue, right? So what are you afraid from now? You're afraid of losing everything that you built and ending up like Bill Cosby. They understand better than we do what the white power structure would do to you if you end up looking too black. As an FBI agent told me in Los Angeles, she said, Dr. Umar, you need to watch yourself because they're watching you. I know because I'm an agent. She said, be careful, brothers. But she said, don't get paranoid. She said, the reason why I don't want you to get paranoid because if they can't find nothing on you, they'll simply invent it. That's how powerful they are. First, they want to find something that's true. But if they can't, they'll just make up the lie. And rich black people know this. See, when you're rich, you're overly concerned about how white people think about you. All of them want to be remembered by white people in a positive light. When they're dead and gone, they want their name to be up. They want statues. They don't want to be chided and degraded like in the eyes of white people like a Marcus Garvey or a Malcolm X or a Fred Hampton. They don't want that. They want to be honored by white folks instead of dishonored. And it is that keeps a lot of them from doing right by their people, i.e. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey is more concerned with what white people think about her than what black people think about her.
Tyler Perry, what's your thoughts on Tyler Perry?
Tyler Perry has gotten addicted to making these neo Jim Crow flicks where he takes the negative stereotypes about black people, rehashes them, plays to black women's dislike of black men, infidelity, and plays to black men's dislike of black women's need to control, okay? And basically he simply takes what we don't like and takes what's popular in the mainstream white mind and he creates characters around it and he makes billions of dollars off of films that don't take a lot of money to make. He's a marketing genius. Because Tyler Perry will make a $3 million film that will gross over $100 million. And Tyler Perry's whole thing is why fix it if it ain't broke? Mm-hmm. Medea ain't broke. I'll never win an Oscar for this, but it ain't broke. Exactly. Why did I get married? I'll never win an Oscar for this, but it ain't broke.
He was on the BET Awards last night, and he gave a good speech. And in the speech, he mentioned that the things and the movies that he's put out throughout the years, it's been about being able to cross over and help other people. And he mentioned that where his studio is at, that it was once owned by the Confederates down in Atlanta. It was in one of the worst areas of
yes,
Atlanta.
It was.
Now you have a black man who owns all that land. He's been able to give umpteen jobs to so many people with his production company. So, I mean...
But are you telling me he could only do that with Medea? Are you telling me he can only do that with Why Did I Get Married? He couldn't have done that with more progressive, more constructive films?
I think
that's no different than a gangster rapper talking about, I talk about bees and hoes and smoking weed and going to jail and killing other black men, but look at all the black people I employ. But at what cost is your good coming? At what cost?
I think he's been able to take what he's been good at. Maybe he's not good at writing, producing, making movies like that. So he's took the humor that he's been able to create throughout the years. Some say buffoonery, some say crossover, man dressing up in a dress and acting as a grandmother. But he's been able to take what he's been doing throughout the years and employ masses of people.
I do appreciate that Tyler Perry will give little known actors, or should I say actors who have fallen out of circulation.
Yes.
He will give them an opportunity to redeem their careers. I do appreciate that about Tyler Perry. But again, I must beg the question, at what cost to the character of black people are you doing this? He's no different than a gangster rapper.
Now we got questions that are coming in
Sure.
on the Facebook Live feed. Get back to the grassroots issue. Speak on the things that that are affecting us as daily, and what contribution is he and other conscious leaders willing to commit to on the ground? Many organizations in Philadelphia need volunteers now.
Well, I don't know what other conscious leaders are doing. I don't know who the other conscious leaders are. Perhaps he can define what he means by leader. Does that mean someone who's on YouTube making videos? We need to define some of these concepts, because when I hear the word leader, who is leading? He's going to, who are the conscious, who's leading? A seminar on YouTube doesn't make you a leader. You understand? So I have issues with people's definition of leader. As far as working with folks, if you want to ask me what I'm doing, well, I got my college tour coming up. Okay, I got my National Independent Black Parent Association conference that just happened 2 weeks ago. I've trained over 300 black parent advocates all over the country who go back to help black parents fight to save their children from the school to prison pipeline. I purchased 2 schools in Wilmington, Delaware that we're going to be cleaning up tomorrow. So I don't know what you mean as far as what I'm doing, because anybody who follows me knows my work. I would like you to give me a name of somebody in the conscious community who does more than I do on a grassroots level.
I think that maybe, well, let me ask you this. Do you feel as though that from the conscious grassroots organizations, do you feel as though that you're the only one that's being out in the forefront like this? The school, you mentioned the school, you mentioned the college tour. I don't hear a lot of other people doing the things that you're doing, but some may say, well, what the hell really is Dr. Umar Johnson?
For me,
yes,
it's unfathomable for someone to say they don't know what I'm doing. Because every interview I talk about it. If you follow me, every video I do, I'm discussing
well,
it.
I'm only saying that because I know you have.
Today I went live from Lowe's, buying all the cleanup stuff for the school tomorrow. I'll put that out there because I want people to see that work is being done. Right now I'm working on what? The Shockumentary. Probably the most anticipated black documentary in 25 years, America's Psychoacademic War Against Black Boys. We just filmed in Philadelphia yesterday. We filmed in Baltimore last week. We filmed in D.C. the week before. Now, yes, it is a documentary. So some people will say, well, wait a minute, you just talked about the Central Park 5. Well, the difference is my documentary is linked to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy as both a funding source and also as an information channel to make people understand why we need the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. So my documentary is anchored in my work of building schools for black boys, 2 of which we already have.
Now you're coming back to Philadelphia. You're coming back home after years
not
being here in the city of Philadelphia. You're coming back, and the last time you were here, you said you weren't going to come back to Philadelphia until you had your book up and running.
Yes, sir.
So,
no, we still going to do the South Philly lecture.
Okay.
This crept up on me. This opportunity popped up on me because it's in my hometown, North Philly. I was born 8th and Susquehanna, between Susquehanna and Dolphin, and my lecture's on 29th Street between Susquehanna and Dolphin. So I'm literally coming back home for real. So it's going to be interesting to see because, when I began this rise, if you would, within the conscious movement 10 years ago, the children who are 20 now was only 10. So I have a whole new support base now. Like people stop me on the streets and they were 10 back then. Now they're 20 and they got kids and they're like, Doc, I follow you. So it feels good because I have a whole new Philadelphia support base that isn't necessarily infected by the negativity of those who were around when I first began my rise. So it's like a new Philly for me.
Yeah.
It's like a new Philly, And I'm sure there's going to be some old haters in the crowd.
Can I go back to something you said earlier?
Sure.
Why are we supporting all these actors and actresses, black actors and actresses, and ball players? Those are athletes, and they're making millions of dollars. And like you just said, they understand the power struggle, the white power struggle. They understand if they want to continue being successful in this country or in their community, whatever, they have to fall or get in line to what is out there, what they know to be the real deal. How to keep their success going. Regardless of if they're selling us junk and they're keeping the people that's trying to struggle or that are struggling, your people, African American people, keeping them at bay, so to speak. Why do we back them up? Why do we follow them? Why do we still look at Denzel Washington? Shaft just came out. Why do we look at movies like, all those characters on or those actors and actresses on it? Why do we still do it?
The same reason we still go to church. Because we don't have alternatives and we don't believe that we can do any better. And on top of that, black people love to be distracted from their reality. What does the NBA provide you with? A ready distraction. What does hip hop provide you with? A ready distraction. Black people can't wait till the BET Awards come around because it is a distraction from everything else. One thing about us, it's one of our worst weaknesses. We are not interested in embracing reality as it is. One thing I love about Malcolm, Brother Malcolm, Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, his message was so profoundly based on embracing your reality as it is. Dr. King embraced the reality as it was, but Dr. King was very good at projecting the new reality that he wanted to create. Malcolm wanted to make sure you fully embrace where you were at the time you were in it, and then we're going to rise up from there. And in the 60s, black people were more willing to accept where they were. Today, black people do not want to be reminded of where we were because we know we're not in a good place, and it's too painful to look at it only because we're not interested in working our way out of it.
Have we let our religious institutions and our faiths get in the way of us getting out there and addressing the issues that are on the corners?
I believe we have, because I think most people don't feel comfortable challenging the position that their religious leadership takes, not their religion, because the religion ain't the problem. You know, I was at a church the other day and somebody said, well, what you doing in the church? You know, I said, most of the fathers of Pan-Africanism were Christian and some of them were Muslim. I go to church, mosque, it don't make a difference to me. Religion is not the issue, but certain religious personalities become the issue because they're not interested in taking up the banner of black liberation. That's the problem.
Because I see that a lot, whereas though you don't see us moving out of our religious sanctuaries. We won't do it. We won't come out of the church. We won't come out of the mosque. We will sit back and criticize others that are out there doing the work, but we don't hear the imams. We don't hear the preachers on the regular addressing these issues. But if you take that there's a mosque on this corner, down the street you got 4 or 5 churches, but we all still got the same issue of opium. You got the drugs. You got...
And that's because our religious leadership gives us a spiritual insurance card. And what is that spiritual insurance card? It's knowing that if I change nothing else, as long as I stick to my deen, as long as I stick to my faith, I'm going to heaven anyway. So why do I need to do the work if I'm guaranteed paradise? See, they don't talk about the need to create a paradise here, because I fervently believe everything I've read in the Quran. And of course, I was raised Muslim and I read the Quran and have read the Quran more than any other religious book. When I read it, I don't see it the way a lot of other Muslim brothers and sisters see it. I see it as an obligation for us to create heaven on earth. Yes, there's a paradise somewhere else, but we're supposed to make a paradise here. That's why God said we made you the vicegerents on the earth. I've empowered you to make this a paradise. We're the only people in the world waiting to get paradise after we die. The Chinese got his now. Arab got his now. Europeans, you got paradise right now. You see the way they gentrifying Philadelphia? I was in Malcolm X Park yesterday interviewing a brother for my documentary. I had to stop. You know why? 2 white kids ran in front of me in Malcolm X Park. I ain't never seen no white kids in Malcolm X Park. They would have been caught dead in Malcolm X Park 30. What is white kids doing in Malcolm X Park? And guess what? Philadelphia leads the nation in gentrification. They have overtaken San Francisco as the fastest growing gentrification city in America and the most impactful gentrification city in America. Yes, Philadelphia is making history for all the wrong ways. Guess what? Philadelphia is also the most segregated city in America. It has overtaken Chicago. It is diverse, but residentially, it is the most segregated city in America. It's made history again because the new prison, SCI Phoenix, formerly Gradford, is the 2nd largest maximum security prison in America on the East Coast, and it is the most expensive prison in Pennsylvania's history, $400 million. But more than half of your city council persons look just like you. What are they doing? But everybody want me to run out on November 3rd or whatever date it is and cast the ballot. I got 5 questions. I got 5 questions.
Just 5?
Just 5. Just 5. Listen, the 5 major problems for black America are all on trial in Philadelphia because we magnify and manifest them more than any other place. What are the 5 biggest problems? Miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and access to wealth. Access to wealth, police genocide, gentrification, incarceration, miseducation. What is your program, city council candidates? What is your program to deal with any of the 5 demons? And if you can't deal with the 5 demons, I'm not voting for you.
Well, I know you did.
You think that's obvious? Or will be obvious. Oh, damn.
We're going to go to the phone line. We have 2 calls. We've been waiting very patiently to talk to Dr. Umar Johnson. Good evening and welcome to the show. Yes, good evening. Welcome to the show. Good, man. How are you? I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great.
Peace and love, black man. All right. what evidence do you have to base the, not to cut you off, black man, what evidence do you have to, and this is just an intellectual challenge because I respect you, what evidence do you have to support your premise that the more we participate in the political process, the more we get for our community? What evidence do you have to support? But what that says is if black people come out significantly for a particular candidate and that candidate wins, that candidate is going to provide certain concessions and programs and resources for that particular community. I haven't seen that. Right. So with that being said, are you aware of any candidate running for office, black or white, in this city for any position that has a plan, not a promise, but a plan to deal with any of the 5 demons: miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, access to wealth, and police genocide? Because I've been looking at their web pages. I haven't seen any of these 5 issues attempted to be addressed by anyone running for council. But that's not a primary issue, though, if you follow what I'm saying, black man. The lead in this, it's important, but that's not a primary issue. Where's the black men in the schools? What are we going to do about that? What about jobs for black men? We keep, not you, but you keep hearing these conversations about crime and homelessness and poverty and social welfare. Where are the livable wage jobs for black men in Philly so we can kill the recidivism rate in Philadelphia's prison system? My hood. Oh, you said William Penn is tore down. Temple turned that into a field. And this is in partnership with Temple University, the university that has basically gentrified North Philly and pushed tens of thousands of poor blacks out their neighborhood. And are we making sure that they get the licenses necessary so that they'll be able to participate in some of these publicly funded contracts that are currently going to the Italians, the Mexicans, the Chinese. Okay. I hope so. Thank you for that, black man. Okay. Are they getting licenses at these schools? Are they getting real Okay, licensed plumbers, electricians, and all that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you for that information this evening.
Appreciate it. All right.
Wait a second. Okay, let's go back to the phone. I mean, another caller has been waiting has been waiting to talk to Dr. Umar Johnson. They going?
Yeah.
Okay. Telephone number to call us back, 215-490-9832. 215-490-9832. I want to go back to the violence that's taking place here in the city of Philadelphia. You know, Commissioner Ross, a few things about Commissioner Ross. You know, things that are taking place with the Philadelphia Police Department. You had the protest that was held, I believe it was last Friday, by Solomon Jones.
Yeah.
Solomon Jones. They
Protesting what?
To get those police officers off the force that were writing
On their social network
their
pages.
social pages about racial stuff.
Yes. And what are they doing about that now? Because I saw that. What has happened?
Well, they had a big mass rally one day. Then they
Right.
had
another rally.
at City Hall, and I was told the Action Network came out. I don't know if Al Sharpton was there, but
What did the mayor do about the police responsible?
they're off the streets.
But they're still being paid.
Wow,
Desk jobs, pending investigation.
I'm sure.
Because if they don't take your job for killing
74?
somebody, they damn sure not gonna take
Something
you.
like that, 72 or 74 or something.
70,
Oh, it was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, it's probably more than that.
Yes.
They're just waiting to get the true number.
Yes.
And they're doing their own
Yes.
investigation.
Yes.
to see
And since
how far
everybody's
it is.
scared of the FOP, and the FOP funds most politicians' election campaigns, ain't nobody really going to push for them to be fired because nobody wants to offend the FOP. Two unions that nobody like to mess with is the FOP and the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. Cops and teachers, people don't mess with them because they want their money and they want their votes. Just to let everybody know, Dr. Umar Johnson will be speaking in Philadelphia this Sunday, June the 30th, 4 o'clock, doors at 3 at the Garden of Prayer Center, 2217 North 29th Street. I repeat, 2217 North 29th Street between Susquehanna and Diamond. Come on out and hear the greatest message of the year. We're going to talk about the 5 deadly venoms: mass incarceration, miseducation, gentrification, access to wealth, police genocide. Bring all the children because they're absolutely free. 17 and under. Bring all the elders, 65 and older. Absolutely free.
I wanted to mention to you because also they spoke about the fact that I lost my thought just that quick when they talked about the Commissioner Ross, police commissioner, said that they want to target more areas where the crimes are taking place. They want to target those areas. They want to put more officers out in the street to patrol these areas.
Do you consider that to be a solution?
Now, I don't know. See, my thing is like, is it? I mean, what? Okay.
You're going to put more white people in the black community to do what exactly? Because they never stop nobody from getting shot. What exactly is the purpose of putting more police in a high crime neighborhood? Do you know that there's no evidence that shows police presence drives down crime? Do you remember when Mayor Street was in office and they told Mayor Street to put more cops on the street? And he said, I'm not wasting money doing that because there is no proof under the sun that police presence drives down crime. It may drive it underground, but it doesn't drive down crime. So basically, you're going to hire more white people and you're going to justify it by saying black people need to be supervised. They have turned the black community into a daycare center.
There's a curfew out this summer too.
Is it?
So it's been.
Yeah. Well,
It ain't been enforced. It has always been.
Yeah, okay.
But it
they're going to
hasn't.
start enforcing it now because of all of this.
So you know why? So they can fill up that new juvenile justice center they got. All of this is economically motivated. They got that big SCI Phoenix. They got to fill that up and pay that $400 million price tag. They got the new Juvenile Justice Center. They got to fill that up. This ain't about reducing no crime. This is about meeting quotas and paying off bills for incarceration projects.
We're going to go back to the phone line.
I think I'm going to run for mayor. I think I'm going to run for mayor of Philadelphia. Prince Ifatunde for mayor. The flyers will be out Friday. I'm running for mayor. And I want to debate everybody running for council. I want to debate everybody who's in office. I want to debate every state senator. I want to debate every state rep. I want to debate the U.S. reps, the U.S. senators, the council person, and the mayor. I want to debate everybody.
I want to be there.
I want to debate Umar versus everybody in the city of Philadelphia. And I will intellectually assassinate every last one of them. Intellectually.
We're going to go to the phone line. We have a caller who's been waiting very patiently. Good evening and welcome to the show. Caller, you're there. Yes, we can, brother. Yes.
I heard that. Send that resume, black man. We need that. FDMG resume.
I know who that is on the line.
Who is it?
Tell them who you are, brother.
Oh man, Musa's in the building. What's going on, brother Musa? Moses the Comet. You still in Atlanta? You still in Atlanta? My bad, beloved. My bad. Good to hear your voice, man. Wow. Yes, sir. You better cut it out. Oh, man. I got to catch one of your joints, man. Text me. Text me when the next time you're going to be close. Okay, hit me up. Okay. Do that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Congrats, brother. Will do. Indeed. Love you too, brother. Oh, man. Good to hear him.
He gave us a history lesson last week. We had him in here in the studio. He tore me and Troy up. He talked about the studio. He said we had no air.
Wires all over.
He's good, though. He's definitely funny. He got the talent.
He was such a bad guy. He's very talented, though.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Absolutely.
We got love for him, man. And he's one of those.
He's going to be the next Kevin Hart.
Hey, man, he should be, man. All the work that he's
Yeah.
doing, man.
Yeah.
And his shows that he does, it uplifts the people.
Yes, it does.
You know,
Yes,
it
it
really
does.
does uplift the people. So this new program, this event that you have coming up on
Yes,
Sunday,
sir.
June the 30th, what made you choose that location?
It came to me.
Okay.
A sister I know, she's an entertainer, a singer in the city. And I said, I've been looking for a venue to do an event for quite a while. And she said, okay, well, I need to put you in contact with a young pastor out there, Pastor Jackson. He's the new pastor there. He's taking over for a very famous pastor who was there before him. And he's trying to do a lot of positive things in the community with the youth and so forth. So he said, he opened up the doors and let me come in. And I thank Pastor Jackson for that because, my name comes with a lot of unnecessary controversy and caution. And that brother was still willing to go forward with it. And it was just a blessing and jewel for me to be given an opportunity to speak in my neighborhood. I've never spoken in my neighborhood, ever. So this will be the first time in my life I get to address our people in North Philly. But we want everybody to know it ain't just for North Philly. West Philly come out. South Philly, Southwest, Northeast, Darby, Yaden, Sharon Hill, Jersey, Delaware. Everybody come on out this Sunday, June 30th. 2217 North 29th Street. Dr. Umar Johnson will be in Philadelphia, and you can get your tickets at drumarjohnson.com or at the door. We do have some vending spots if you want to sell your things. Shoot me a text message 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. But most of all, tomorrow we're having cleanup day at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Anyone who wants to help us from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. move some furniture, push some brooms, mop some floors, wash some windows. Come on out to the school, y'all. 10 to 2 tomorrow, Ifatunde Avenue, Dr. Papa Boulevard in Wilmington, Delaware. Cleanup day tomorrow. I got the dumpster dropped off today. I got all the cleaning stuff. 4 hours. We're going to have a lot of fun out in the sun. Bring some cold water. Bring some snacks. Bring some music. We're going to have fun getting the school ready tomorrow for the contractors.
We got Brother Bilal who's in New York City. He wants to know, when are you coming through to New York City?
Long Island, New York. The Prince of Pan-Africanism will be in Hempstead, Long Island, Sunday, July 14th, 3 p.m. inside of Morris Park. Again, Sunday, July 14th, 3 p.m. inside of Morris Park, but the event is from 1 until 7. It'll be my first time ever in Long Island, and I want to give a shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina. I will be in Charlotte, North Carolina for the first time since 2015. Next Saturday, July the 6th at the Carol Hoffner Center, 8 p.m., doors at 7, and then it's off to Ghana, July the 24th to August the 5th. We're going back to Ghana, year of return. Can't wait to get there, and I'll be speaking as part of the Emancipation Day celebrations at the Cape Coast Castle Slave Dungeon. Anybody want to go to Africa with me? It ain't too late. Just send me a text message, and I can put you in contact with Mother Sharifa, the travel agent, and we can get you on that Black Star Line airplane.
What's the cost for that?
$4,000, everything included, except your spending money.
Now, the last time you were in Philadelphia, you were on Broad Street.
Tiddly Temple with David Bannon, 2016.
That was powerful, man.
Yeah.
Can we expect anything like we expect? Can we expect
Hopefully,
anything like we did before?
Hopefully I'm better. Hopefully I'm getting better with age. You know, hopefully I'm getting better with age.
Any type of performance is going to be there?
Okay, the opening acts.
Okay.
You know what? I didn't plan on any opening acts, but if we got any Philadelphia talent that would like to open up on Sunday, give me a call. If you're a singer, spoken word artist, a poet, if you play the drums or an instrument, you're a comedian, clean comedy, because it is a church, feel free to get in contact with me, 215-989-9858 or drumarjohnson.com, and I'll put you on out there.
That's great, man. And I'm so happy that you're coming back to Philadelphia because it's time. You've been all over. You've been to Charlotte. You've been to North Carolina. You're going back to New York. You ever been down to Mississippi?
I don't get a lot of time in Mississippi. I've been to Jackson maybe 4 times. Moss Point maybe once. I need to spend more time in Mississippi, Arkansas, the Deep South don't get me enough, except Texas. Texas gets me pretty often.
Really?
Yeah, I would say my most frequented states or cities, obviously the big 4. Chicago, New York, Houston, Detroit, DC, Baltimore, they get me the most. But the Deep South, except for Texas, I need to spend more time there. The Carolinas, I used to spend a lot of time in the Carolinas. Of course, Charlotte next week, but I need more time in the Carolinas as well.
That's great.
You go to a lot of HBCUs?
A lot of HBCUs.
Did they invite you?
Yeah, they invite me. But I tell you what's ironic, though. The HBCUs are more hesitant to allow me on campus than the white universities. It's amazing. You would think the black universities would be more open-armed. They're more paranoid. And the reason for that is they get their funding from white folks. So they think I'm going to say something that's going to get the funding cut, which never happens because I always diversify my message. If I'm speaking to a prison, I'm not going to say what I say at a hood lecture.
Right.
When I'm speaking in the church, I can't say what I say. You know what I mean? So I switch up my message to not offend people.
Exactly.
Like the colleges will call me up and say, are you going to say anything about the LBGT? I say I never discuss LBGT on college campuses because y'all have a lot of them. I don't touch that on the college campus. But it's amazing how people don't expect me to diversify my message. They assume wherever I go, I'm coming with the Garvey grenade.
Let me ask you though, have white folks ever invited you into their places?
They have. Because
I think you have a very brilliant mind.
Yeah.
And I think they can benefit if they heard you.
Yeah, they do. I get requests from white folks. I've never really accepted them too much because I'm not big on trying to convince white folks about what they already know. Mm-hmm. And even if they didn't believe it and I could convince them to believe it, they're never going to go against the privilege that they benefit from.
Now, I'm only saying that because if you remember the movie Malcolm X, when Malcolm had said to, he was walking, I think he was like in England somewhere. I don't know, he's at a college and he had a group of brothers with him. And the girl walked up to him. She said, I'm not like those other people. I believe in your cause. And I just want to know. I just want to know what can I do?
What can I do? Nothing.
What can I do?
Nothing. He was correct. But what he probably should have added to that is you can't do nothing for us and with us, but you can go work within your own community to systematically dismantle the systems that are put in place that keep black people down. See, my issue, brothers, is white people love to come and do their political work with us. You can't change anything in a black organization. The change is in the white power structure that you live in, benefit from, and participate in. If black people are oppressing white people, why would you go join a white organization? You can't make change in a white organization. You are to make change where? Amongst your own black people, dismantling the systems that give us a black privilege vis-a-vis white oppression. They don't never go into their own people and fight. They just want to look like a God and Savior amongst us.
That was Oxford University. Thank you, Brother Bilal. That was Oxford University where he spoke at. So, I want to ask you though, if a white organization came to you and said, listen, we believe in your cause. We believe in what you're doing. We want to help fund your institution.
They cannot fund me.
Okay.
They cannot fund me because I fervently believe, unequivocally, that white people only fund black projects to at some point control them. NAACP, Urban League, Congressional Black Caucus, black churches. Show me an institution funded by white folks where they did not attempt to exert some form of control. I got people now still trying to get me to turn my school into a charter. You need to charterize this. We can get you a charter. I don't need you to get me a charter. I can get myself a charter, but I'm not giving white folks that type of control over me. Did you see what just happened in, what state was it? New York, D.C.? They just passed a law that says in kindergarten. Did you see that?
Did you see that?
What state was that? New York?
No, I didn't.
Listen.
In one of the states, they just passed the law, the state legislature, this week or last week, that in kindergarten, you must teach the kindergarten kids that there are 16 different genders. And they're supposed to learn all 16. Yes, brother. Yes. Kindergarten. The part of the curriculum is teaching them the 16 genders, because you know there's now 16 genders.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I seen that on Facebook. I didn't know what the heck it was.
You think they're going to come in my school with that? And guess what? All those Afrocentric charters with the dashikis and the drums and the Kiswahili words, what they going to do when they get that letter in the mail talking about you got to start teaching those 16 different genders? Are they going to say no? Hell no. They're going to keep taking that money and they're going to teach them genders right along with the drums and the dashikis. If you don't fund it, you don't run it.
Let's go to the phone line. We have another caller that's waiting on the line before we wrap up this evening. Good evening and welcome to the show. You're on with Dr. Umar Johnson. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you there?
Hello and welcome to the show.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, this is Sister Mariah. And I wanted to speak to Dr. Umar in reference to the slide. We're having an expo in December at University.
I would love to come. Wow. I am going to say, my beautiful African queen, that what you just described are the symptoms of ADHD, degeneration of the brain, over time. They don't have bipolar. They're suffering the side effects of prolonged ADHD medicine consumption. Concerta, Ritalin, Metadate, Cycler. What we need to do is shut down the ADHD drug machine against black boys. Be careful with that bipolar, because bipolar is the diagnosis of choice for black people in the 21st century. You do know that. Any black person that goes to the psychiatrist or psychologist and say, I got a problem, guess what? You bipolar. Be careful with the bipolar, because the solution is medicine. What? Right. I got you. No, it exists. Bipolar is real. I just don't want us to approach the violence in our community as being a side effect of bipolar. Because number one, I don't think that's fully accurate. And number two, all that's going to do is set up a situation where Temple University and other institutions that don't give a damn about young black men are going to rush in with prescriptions and pills. You follow what I'm saying? The only solution they have for mental illness in the black community is what? Medication. That's all they want. Medication. I'm thankful you're not taking the meds. I'm so thankful you're not taking the meds, sister.
No, wait a minute. First of all, they didn't have anything that really was known. Except my mom ran the one thing really that helped me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I don't go into managing about I'm not gonna say I don't. Well, work with myself, like
Right.
and calm it down. I remember when I was selling flowers and going up, and my kids would come pick the flowers right now. I was like, oh, look where I get it from. Like $20,000 flower shine,
Sister Ryan, we got to let you go. We got 2 other calls you're trying to squeeze in before Dr. Umar leaves out. Okay. Thank you, my
Thank you. Give me a call, sister. Text me for that information. I want to be there. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. And I hope to see you Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock at 2217 North 29th Street at Susquehanna.
Okay, let's try to get these next 2 callers out the line before we let Dr. Umar go. 1 caller. Good evening and welcome to the show. Good evening. Hello? Yes, we can.
I'll give you 3 quick ones. Number 1, with the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, we're going to be able to prevent crime with every young man that comes to that school because they're going to be entrepreneurs and they're not going to have to suffer the debilitating effects of economic stress. So that's solution number 1. Solution number 2 goes to access to wealth. I want to start a black men's movement where we put pressure on the elected politicians and on big government and big business to redistribute the wealth, or at least give us access to the wealth so that we can employ our own. We can take half the brothers off the corner tomorrow if we had a livable wage job for them today. A lot of this is economically driven. For example, the single mother household. Up until 1970, most black homes in America had 2 parents running those households. You don't begin to see the rise of the single black mom until the 1980s. Why is that? Because in the 1970s, they made the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman and to his family. So we have to once again make the black man economically relevant. Give him some pride, give him some opportunity, give him a livable wage job, and we can begin to deal with all these problems. That's not a panacea for every ill, but nothing we do will work until we can put black men to work.